Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous, in his almost brilliant book, it's a wonderful, wonderful book, called The Righteous Mind, NYU's Jonathan Haidt sketches out the difference between conservatives and liberals. Conservatives, he says, are boundary makers. They are about what conservatives are upset about right now. The fact that there are boundaries to the United States and people who are outsiders to the United States are crossing the boundary down in Texas. And that upsets them tremendously because they don't like to see people transgress boundaries. They are boundary defenders. People on the left, on the other hand, are open, warm, and fuzzy. They love caring for people, and they don't care about the boundaries between people. Well, guess what? First of all, Jonathan Haidt says that this trait, this division, is universal, that you can find a division between boundary defenders and open, warm, and fuzzy caretakers in every society on the face of the earth, which is very interesting because this is a strategy that's not just used in politics, it's used in biology, the biology that separates the sexes. When a woman has a baby and she puts that baby's lips to her nipple for the first time, she is flooded with a hormone called oxytocin. And oxytocin, in the case of some women, gives her something that feels almost like an LSD high. And what's the essence of that high? She feels warm and fuzzy toward everybody that she sees. She loves everybody that she sees. This makes her very vulnerable. If she were in the wild, supposing somebody came along who wanted to kill her baby, rape her, and make sure that she has a baby of his own, this would be very dangerous. But nature takes care of it. How? Because men and women pair bond. We tend to be a monogamous species. I mean, you know, we can get polygamous too, but we tend to be a monogamous species. And when that woman puts that baby's lips to her breast and feels that warm and fuzzy feeling toward everybody on the face of planet Earth, her male goes through the opposite experience. He becomes a boundary defender. He sets up a boundary around her. He is highly suspicious of anybody who approaches her. He is filled with a hormone called vasopressin, a boundary-making hormone. And there's a paradox here, because oxytocin and vasopressin, remember, there is a Bloomism. Opposites are joined at the hip. There is a large molecule the body produces and then breaks in two. The parent molecule becomes twins. One twin is oxytocin. One twin is vasopressin. Oxytocin and vasopressin were originally joined at the hip. The male-female partnership has been astonishingly successful ever since it was introduced roughly 400 million years ago. That's the strategy of having the warm and fuzzy individual who's open to everybody, and the harsh, demanding, boundary-making individual who sets up the shield and barrier around her. Well, guess what the difference is between the left and the right? Guess what the difference is between conservatives and liberals? According to Jonathan Haidt, it's the difference between the warm and fuzzy, and the warm, fuzzy, open, and compassionate, and the harsh boundary makers who are down on every form of intransigence, every form of evil that somehow doesn't act within its boundaries and gets out of them. So underneath the difference between left and right, there may be something profoundly biological. The difference between oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the warm and fuzzy hormone, and vasopressin, the boundary-making hormone, the protective, defensive hormone. And societies may gain from having a left and right, the same way that pairs, couples, married couples benefit from having a left and right. Without the boundary maker, the husband, the one with vasopressin, the female would be incredibly vulnerable. Without the female's openness and ability to bond with just about anything in sight, the couple would be impaired by the lack of social connection. That seems to be the way biology has set up our difference between left and right, conservative and liberal. This is Howard the Humongous speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. And now for the absurd and elusive off button. Wait a minute. There's something in the way here. What is this? Ah, all right. I think I have found it.